Mr. Agnew, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. What really worries me about this paper is just the assumption that the British taxpayer is going to give this huge amount of money to the European Union because we've decided to leave it. There's nothing in the Lisbon Treaty. Article 50 was there as the roadmap out of the European Union, said nothing about a huge sum of money having to be handed over. So there's no legal basis for it. If I'm trying to be fair, you could say that the British taxpayer could be asked to honour obligations up until the end of 2020 because we have effectively signed up to that, and also to take responsibility for the pensions of UK citizens who've earned pensions from the various institutions here, the Commission, the Parliament, the Council, etc. And that is it. But there's another side to this coin. There's a very substantial amount of UK money in the European Investment Bank. Well, we wouldn't mind having that back. We've made loans, massive loans, to some of these Eurozone countries that were in trouble. Greece, certainly one of them. I think possibly Portugal. Well, that's British taxpayers' money. It was a loan. It should be able to come back again. And as net contributors, we have equity in Spanish motorways and Irish bridges. We can perhaps charge a toll there. That was British taxpayers' money that went into these, and they are still there. Then, of course, you've got the EU embassies around the world, British taxpayers' money in that, and the palatial palaces of the institutions in Brussels, Strasbourg and Luxembourg. I mean, on it goes. Once all that's taken into account, we don't owe the EU anything at all. Thank you.
I always find it interesting to listen to my colleague Stuart Agnew, even when he guffaws, because I think that it really gives us a sense of what we're dealing with. And I have enormous respect for his agricultural expertise, but I don't have much respect for your sense of solidarity. And I think your comments here, and we believe in freedom of speech, reflect a disregard for the concept of solidarity. And your mention of bridges in Ireland is particularly distasteful, can I say. The European Union's budget and Europe is about solidarity amongst people so that those who have less can grow and develop and be stronger. That's what Europe's about. If you haven't understood that, that is perhaps why you want to leave. But please treat us with some dignity and respect. Thank you, Chair.
I would just say to Mr Agnew, I very rarely agree with his party leader, and I assume he does. But his party leader did make a speech which I listened to in the plenary in Strasbourg a couple of months ago, when he said to Mr Juncker, if you had give Prime Minister Cameron enough to fight the referendum, the result would never have happened. And I have to say, I agree with that. We are here today because of intransigence of the past. So let us not allow the intransigence of the past dictate to what our future may or may not be. A car crash for the UK out of Europe is a total and ultimate disaster for everyone concerned.
The discussion it has been about Brexit bill and the legal obligation of the UK to pay for this bill. It illustrates, in my view, very much the position of the UK in general and the incapacity and ability of the UK to understand what is the nature of this bill. It has been, for the beginning, the UK has taken a very narrowly legalistic approach to that, questioning the legal basis for this payment, but actually this is less a legal aspect than a political aspect, and what the EU asked to the UK is to help make the withdrawal an orderly withdrawal, and that means not making things worse for the remaining member states. For us, it will be already difficult to adjust to the Brexit gap after MFF. It is logical, and it's a kind of it's a sort of political responsibility for the UK, for the member state that leaves us, not to leave things worse, at least not for the current MFF. So I think this is something that you can see that there's a beginning of a recognition with Theresa May's speech in Florence. You see that there is this more political approach that's saying, well, we don't want to make all the member states worse off because of us due to Brexit. But still, this is this question of, this is conditioned to linking it to the transitional to the transitional agreement, and just to finalize, the link with the transitional agreement, of course, it is something that the UK is insisting, but it's not still accepted, and I think it will be very difficult to make the rest of the EU accept this link. That does not mean that there is some kind of, that's my personal opinion, there is some kind of let's say, permission to leave, to allow the UK to use, to sell this bill as a sort of transitional payment for the UK public opinion, but I do not think that the latest, the agreement on the Brexit bill will be conditioned to any outcome in transitional agreements. That would be very, very bad for the EU, in my opinion.